Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, the stimulus package update, daily news you need to know about, including money, investing, the stock market, pretty much everything you need to know about on a daily basis. We have a lot going on here today, actually multiple different announcements. First, we're going to start with a major announcement from the Texas governor that I'm sure President Biden is not going to like. Listen in.
Let's start this morning with the latest COVID news. One of the country's largest states is now fighting back against vaccine mandates.
Overnight, Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued a ban on vaccine mandates in the Lone Star State. His executive order prohibits any entity, even private businesses, from imposing vaccine requirements on employees or customers. Abbott says he's responding to the Biden administration's vaccine requirement, which he calls federal overreach. The White House's mandate requires businesses with more than 100 employees make sure their workforces are vaccinated or tested regularly. Daily vaccinations have been ticking up in recent weeks as more companies, states, and cities issue mandates. More than 56% of the U.S. is now fully vaccinated against COVID-19. As more people get vaccinated, we're seeing the number of COVID cases go down. An average of 70,000 Americans are testing positive each day right now. Compare that with 2 weeks ago, more than 109,000 cases were reported daily.
So Texas governor bans vaccine mandates from any entity in Texas. This goes directly against President Biden's vaccine mandates that would be enforced for any business over 100 employees, and also for businesses that already have vaccine mandates in effect in the state of Texas. And this probably will be settled in a court of law, and we're going to really see some lawsuits and some challenges to this for and against the Texas governor here, and probably even from the Biden administration here going forward. And let me know your thoughts on this. Are you for this? Are you against this? And one thing's for sure, the president won't like this. This goes directly against his order. And this really goes to say here, do the state governors have authority to do this? This will be a big challenge here. The good news is right now 45 states are doing better with virus cases, but 5 states are surging. Is your state one of them? Well, here's the 5 states that are surging right now. Montana, Colorado, Minnesota, Michigan, and Pennsylvania are surging hotspot spots around the country. Dr. Fauci says around 68 million people who are eligible to be vaccinated that have not yet gotten vaccinated. New virus cases are on the decline. We did have 123,000 new cases yesterday, which is still very, very high on this data here reported by Google or aggregated by Google. But the 7-day average, as you can see here on this decline, is on a significant decline, with the 7-day average just under 90,000 at 89,526 cases as of yesterday. Deaths are still very high as well, with the 7-day average of 1,657. In comparison, it's just still very, very high on an everyday basis. We're expecting major announcements from Moderna and Johnson & Johnson booster shots very, very soon. You can see from this headline here from NBC, U.S. moves closer to clearing Moderna and Johnson & Johnson booster shots this week. So they're getting close to announcing that here very, very soon. I will keep you up to date on that as they move forward with the close to the final authorization of those. A recent real-world study of 23 million people found that vaccines cut the risk of severe COVID by at least 90% in a real-world study by 23 million people. So it does seem pretty promising. There is also a couple different companies that are working on a antiviral pill that's after you catch the virus, which of course nobody wants to do, but you can just catch it out of nowhere basically. Merck is working on an FDA authorization that they've already tested, and they're working on FDA authorization right now for a virus pill, an antiviral pill, that you would take this pill after you've caught the virus. As they say here, Merck said on Monday that it requested authorization from the FDA for its antiviral pill. They said in a statement that emergency use authorization was requested for the treatment of mild to moderate COVID in adults who are at risk for progressing to severe or hospitalization. The company said the testing showed that it is administered as a 5-day treatment and was developed with Ridgeback Biotherapeutics and reduced the risk of hospitalization by 50%. AstraZeneca is also developing a similar one as well, so that could be out on the market sometime in the future as well. Also, let me know your thoughts on this. A parent suing a school district alleging that the son contracted the virus from a classmate. Let me know your thoughts on this. Here's the circumstances. Let me know if you think that a parent should be able to sue for this. It's hard to really tell if you caught the virus from somebody specifically, but here's the circumstances in this lawsuit. Shannon Jensen filed the lawsuit against Waukesha School District and School Board in a federal court on October 5th and is seeking an injunction ordering the district to comply with guidelines from the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Jensen's lawsuit alleges that in May, the school board removed student masking requirements and other COVID restrictions and claims that one of Jensen's son's classmates showed virus symptoms but did not wear a mask when he came to school because they removed the masking requirements. Okay, so check that out. Then the son was seated next to the symptomatic classmate, and despite wearing a mask himself, so he was wearing a mask, he became infected with the virus because allegedly the other person had the virus, was not wearing a mask, according to the lawsuit. Later on, two of Jensen's other children also became ill with the virus. They say, quote, "Our goal all along was to bring a class action lawsuit against all school districts in Wisconsin that weren't protecting kids, teachers, and communities, but we had to start somewhere." So let me know your thoughts. Do you think it's fair that they can sue the school or win the lawsuit? Do you think they should be able to win the lawsuit because they weren't following CDC guidelines and students were allowed to not wear a mask and potentially be able to go to school not knowing they had the virus? So that's the thing is, at the early stages of potentially being sick, you might not even know you're sick. You might not be wearing a mask. Well, if you go to school and you're not wearing a mask, you're not wearing a mask, you might not even know you're sick for the first day or two. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. Do you think that's fair that you should be able to sue? You could sue for anything, but do you think they'll win? Let me know your thoughts on that. Yeah, it's a crazy situation. The thing about these lawsuits is that they set a precedence. So these are very, very big lawsuits. It's not just like one average everyday lawsuits, because if they win, this is very, very big, because now it's like, oh, you won for catching the virus. Now that sets a precedence across the whole United States that maybe potentially many, many other thousands of people could do this. The problem is proving it. Can you really prove that you caught it from a specific person or a specific situation? It is kind of hard to do that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. The House is expected to vote today on the debt limit increase. Remember, the debt limit increase has been passed in the Senate, but not the House. So the Senate passed it on Thursday night. That was that very controversial vote where the first vote was passed 61-38, where 11 Republicans helped pass the vote. Kind of the vote to proceed, where they bypassed the filibuster. Then the second vote passed with only Democrats voting yes. I think the vote was 50-48, where no Republicans voted yes on the second vote. They didn't need Republicans to vote yes on the second vote because the Republicans kind of granted them the authority to bypass the filibuster on the first vote. But then Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer blasted them right after the 11 Republicans kind of helped them. Well, you know, the big thing they're working on right now is how to come to an agreement on the size of the package, which is somewhere in the $2 trillion range, most likely between $2 to $2.9 trillion. Kyrsten Sinema, the Senate Democrat holdout, along with Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema's office denies a report that she wants to cut $100 billion in climate spending. Well, I wouldn't really find this as a bad thing, but Kyrsten Sinema has been really really quiet on the idea of pretty much anything. She has not spoken out on very much at all about any details on absolutely anything. Yeah, so she has not really given us a lot of anything, but cutting $100 billion in climate would really not be a bad thing because they're going to have to cut money from a lot of different things. But Kyrsten Sinema doesn't even want to confirm that. Again, I personally would rather see $100 billion cut from climate than seen from stimulus items like Medicare for seniors, child tax credits for children coming out of poverty, a stimulus check for adults, paid family and medical leave, things like that, than climate. There is expected to be a lot of money in there for climate. And I mean, I would rather see money go to people in need per se. It's not like they're going to cut climate down to zero. I am not one of those guys that think that climate change doesn't exist. I do think climate change exists. I do think they need to do something about climate change. So that's just my point of view. I know some people think climate change doesn't exist. Some people think climate change is the worst thing ever. I kind of fall in the middle, and that just kind of falls into general with my overall feelings on a lot of things. I'm a realist. I'm an independent. I generally don't fall far right. I generally don't fall far left. I'm not a full Biden supporter. I'm not a full Trump supporter. Generally, when I hear a lot of things that Trump's doing this, or Biden's doing that, or Biden's gonna be impeached, or Trump's gonna be impeached, I never fall too far right or too far left on a lot of those things. And same thing with climate change, climate change doesn't exist at all, or climate change is the worst thing ever. Generally I just tend to fall in the middle. Not all the time, but climate change is one of those things I do agree it needs to be changed. I do think we need to do something. I don't think that we need to do nothing at all. But I do think that we need to tend to focus a little bit more on our people, focus a little bit less on foreign countries, foreign aids, spend a little bit less on immigrants and billions of dollars on immigrants, and focus a little bit more on our people. That's just my thought. I know that some people think a little bit differently. I know there's a lot of focus on immigration in this bill. I think we need to focus a little bit more on our people. I'm not saying that we don't need to focus on immigration at all, because again, our country was founded on immigration. So I do have a view on that as well. But I do think that we need to spend a little bit less on foreign aid, especially when we're talking about spending on other countries, not necessarily immigrants coming into our country. That's a little bit different because they are going to be U.S. citizens. But that's generally my view on that. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments. The Arizona governor, though, does say something pretty strong about Kyrsten Sinema. Says, quote, she's going to cave on her stance, and that she is going to vote on this next stimulus package. So you can see here, the Arizona governor predicts that Kyrsten Sinema will back the Democrats' big spending bill. Basically kind of saying that either she's all talk and she's just going to cave, or that the negotiation process is going pretty well, and eventually she's going to come around. Now, remember that in the third stimulus check package, both Senator Joe Manchin, and Senator Kyrsten Sinema did kind of do this same thing, where at the beginning they're like, we don't know if we're going to vote for it. We want the bill to be smaller. Or maybe I should say, dun, dun, dun. They were kind of doing the same kind of thing where they're like, we're not sure about this third stimulus check package and this third stimulus check and these child tax credits and this rent assistance and this internet assistance and these SNAP increases and everything that was all in that third stimulus check package. But eventually they did come around, and they had that $10,200 unemployment tax break and everything in there. So, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey expects Democratic Senator Kyrsten Sinema. Can we still call her a Democrat? Is Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin, are they still Democrats? Are they dinos, Democrats in name only? To give in to far left liberal wishes and to vote in support of congressional Democrats' proposed social spending bill. So the Arizona governor expects them to give in to vote yes on the bill, saying, quote, she's a politician, so of course she's going to cave. Wow. Governor Doug Ducey told the Washington Examiner in an interview. Wow. And listen to what Kyrsten Sinema had to say here in a statement. Quote, it is the duty of elected leaders to avoid fostering an environment in which honestly held policy disagreements serve as the basis for vitriol, raising the temperature in political rhetoric and creating permission structure for unacceptable behavior, Kyrsten Sinema said in a statement. Ooh. Yeah, so things are really heating up here on the next stimulus package. Do you think Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin are going to cave and vote yes on the next stimulus package? They did do so with the third stimulus check package, and turned out pretty good. $1,400 stimulus checks, monthly stimulus checks for children to the tune of a total of $3,000 to $3,600. But remember, those stop at the end of this year for 65 million children. They want to continue those on in the next package for several more years, and maybe even more, maybe an adult stimulus check in there as well. Medicare for seniors, Medicare 2.0, expansion of that, an adult tax credit, all sorts of things maybe in this next package. But we're going to need Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema's vote. So do you think they're going to cave and vote yes on the next package? I'll keep you up to date here with everything here in the next video. Also, we have the big vote here coming out in the House of Representatives on the debt ceiling, which they need to do to prevent the country from defaulting. So make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so, and I will keep you up to date with everything in our videos here. You can click here to watch my newest stimulus check video next, and you can click here to see how $1,400 stimulus checks could be included in the next stimulus package. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.